In 2002, Dutch ride manufacturer Vekoma debuted their first ever tilt coaster, Gravity Max, at Liphao Discovery World in Taiwan. For over 20 years, it existed as Vekoma's only tilt coaster, and fans of the model questioned whether or not they would ever make a comeback. Fast forward to 2019, Six Flags Qiddiya City in Saudi Arabia is formally announced, with an impressive lineup of record-breaking roller coasters, including what they claimed as the world's tallest tilt coaster, Iron Rattler. Fans such as myself were shocked to see this and couldn't help but wonder what would a modern-day tilt coaster look like. Turns out, this was just one of 4 tilt coasters Vekoma had planned right out of the gate, and despite it being the first one announced, it would actually not be the first one to open. Siren's Curse would debut at Cedar Point in summer 2025, followed by Circuit Breaker soft opening at Kodaland in October 2025, and finally, Iron Rattler would officially open alongside Six Flags Qiddiya City on December 31st, 2025. So suddenly, in just 1 year, we went from 1 Vekoma tilt coaster to 4, and I am living for it. I had the opportunity to experience Gravity Max prior to the debut of the upcoming tilt coasters, and I was a huge fan. I could not wait to experience Iron Rattler, which actually stands out as different from the other 2. This is the only true custom tilt coaster, because even though Siren's Curse and Circuit Breaker are currently original layouts, they are actually designed to be clonable, known as the Cliffhanger and Pitfall models respectively. We're actually already seeing another Siren's Curse open up in Vietnam in 2026. Iron Rattler was designed specifically for Six Flags Qiddiya City, standing 208 feet tall, reaching speeds of 73 miles per hour. It also features the most inversions of any tilt coaster at 5. The ride is massive and carries such a presence in the Steamtown section of Six Flags Qiddiya City. The attraction is positioned at the end of the pathway with the beautiful two-wake mountains in the backdrop, and it is captivating the way the tilt track releases and starts rotating vertically, facing riders towards the ground as they have nowhere left to go but down. To this day, it is the tallest roller coaster Vekoma has ever constructed, and is absolutely one of their best. In this review, I'm going to cover the entire Iron Rattler experience, discuss the theme, trains, layout, and at the end, give the attraction an overall final score. Now, as I mentioned, Iron Rattler is the anchor attraction of Steamtown. When you reach the Citadel, that central hub of Six Flags Qiddiya, you're going to go towards the left-hand side where that tilt track and drop is facing you dead ahead. You can't miss it. In my opinion, it is the best positioned attraction in the park. Whether you plan on riding it or not, guaranteed everyone is going to stop in their tracks, whip out their phone, and take a picture of what is ahead of them because it is that crazy of a visual. In a park that was looking to get everyone's attention with their jaw-dropping attractions, building a tilt coaster was a no-brainer. The colors are beautiful, especially the way it catches the Saudi sun at golden hour, and it is also wonderfully themed. Steamtown is characterized by these industrial factory-esque buildings, plenty of gears, and Iron Rattler is no different. Fans of Six Flags Fiesta Texas will also recognize the Iron Rattler emblem. Yes, it is the exact same logo design as Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. They didn't just steal the name, they also took the logo, and if I had $1 for every Iron Rattler at a Six Flags park with a Corey wall, I'd have $2, which isn't a lot, but it's kind of weird it happened twice. Funny enough, the name is not the only thing that they borrowed from another Six Flags park. As you make your way into the queue, which is stunning by the way, you might notice these gear projections on the wall, and you see that name right there? Screammore. Rest in peace, Professor Screammore Skywinder from Six Flags America. You're living on at another, much better Vekoma coaster at a different Six Flags park, this one on the other side of the world. I guess he left his SLC to go build a crazy contraption in Steamtown, and something tells me this will be a lot bigger of a hit with the public. Iron Rattler can operate with up to 3 trains, some of the nicest trains I've ever seen. That drill up front is incredible. The first time I saw it, my jaw hit the floor. It is stunning. The only thing that I think is kind of holding it back is it lacks the onboard audio that we have with Siren's Curse and Circuit Breaker. So interesting that they didn't opt to go for that, considering they clearly had the money for it. They built Falcon's Flight after all. What's a couple speakers gonna do? But you know what? It really enhances the experience on Siren's Curse, and I can only imagine what they could have done here. That being said, they did involve a little bit of audio throughout the experience. As you dispatch out of the station, you hear a voice go, "Okay, here we go." You take a left-hand turn and start climbing up your lift hill. I'd estimate it to be about 178 feet tall because they are advertising the attraction as 208 feet in height, which I assume to be the top of the tilt track when it's vertical because that's how they are advertising Siren's Curse. They said that's 160 feet tall, but the top of the lift is actually 130 feet. So if a hypercoaster is considered any ride over 200 feet, is Iron Rattler a true hyper? I'll let you all decide. As you crest over, you'll pull a U-turn, getting stunning views of the Tuwake Mountains. You'll face the park, and there's that audio again. The same voice, which is kind of robotic, goes, "Who put that tilt track there?" And then there's a pause, and he goes, "Oh yeah, it was me." Your train latches onto the tilt, and you start rotating. If you're in the front, you're going to drop down. If you're in the back, you're going to rise up higher than your lift height. You are completely at the mercy of this one section of track. Luckily, Vekoma has some brilliant engineers. You're not going anywhere. You lock into place, the safety releases, and you hear a voice go, "Uh-oh," and then you drop. You drop over 200 feet to the ground, actually dipping into a tunnel, ducking underneath the pathway. I grayed out a bit at the bottom of this drop into the pull-up. You have a ton of speed there. As much as I love Siren's Curse, probably the one aspect of it that I was underwhelmed with was the drop, because you just so quickly turn to the left, like immediately after you release. It doesn't feel like a true drop, and this does. The best drop on a modern tilt coaster for sure. But that being said, I think Gravity Max's drop is still my favorite. Go back and watch that review if you want more details, but the long story short is that attraction features a ratcheting restraint, which does not really touch your body. It leaves you feeling a bit more exposed. This train is a lot more comfortable, but it does come with a vest, which makes you feel snug. That's great for feeling safe and secure, but it does slightly diminish that feeling of airtime, and with Gravity Max, you truly lift up out of your seat on that drop. It is kind of funny though for me to say that I prefer the drop on Gravity Max, considering that height is only 114 feet. This is 94 feet taller. Very impressive, but hey, if anything, it shows restraints can make a big difference. I might prefer the drop on Gravity Max, but those over-the-shoulder restraints could potentially bang your ears side to side, and that won't be a problem here with Iron Rattler. Here you have nothing to smack your ears on, and frankly, even if there was something, it wouldn't happen because modern-day Vekoma coasters are some of the smoothest rides in the industry. Iron Rattler runs like glass. It is wildly impressive. From this drop, you'll rise up into the first hang time stall. This is very similar to the first inversion on the Flash at Six Flags Great Adventure, or Phoenix at Far Up Summerland. It's designed to give you just the right amount of hang time. You slow down at the top, feel a bit of weightlessness, and then just smoothly and swiftly roll over, and you keep rotating. The transition time between the stall and the double up is so tight. You don't expect to keep rolling like that, especially at such high speeds. You drop down almost completely back to the ground before rising up into this double up. And this is a near identical maneuver to, again, the Flash at Six Flags Great Adventure. In my opinion, you'll experience a bit more powerful airtime up front because you're just hitting it head on, especially at that peak before you suddenly twist down towards the ground. At Great Adventure, we nicknamed that element the earlobe. Same idea here, but then Iron Rattler throws in something that we've never seen before on a Vekoma ride, and that is a double zero-G roll. What many people will tell you is the best inversion in the park. Much like that moment after the stall, you start rotating to the right and you just keep going. You flip over as you're rising up, stay level, and then continue rotating, dropping now towards the ground, building up more speed. It is very satisfying. At the ground here, you'll pass a small section of rockwork and then rise up into your first traditional airtime hill. Really the only normal one on the ride, and it happens directly below that lift hill, suddenly then banking you to the right, wrapping around the lift, and then dropping you towards the ground in inversion number 4. This is a downward roll. Reminds me a lot of the death roll on Iron Gwazi, but not to the same caliber. When I think of the world's best rolls, I think of the Blue Fire roll, the Mosasaurus roll, and yeah, the death roll. What do those three have in common? In my opinion, I would say it's good speed, quick rotation, but also laterals. And that's what separates them from the rest to make it memorable. The first time I experienced Velocicoaster, we hit that moment and it shocked me. The same with the death roll. Iron Rattler's downward roll here feels like an attempt at that, but without actually getting there. It's like a stepping stone into that style of inversion without fully committing. And I think that leads me to kind of the only real critique that I have with this ride, and it's one that I would say goes for most modern Vekoma coasters, and that is that I just love to see more laterals in the future. And I think this is exactly the kind of ride where it would work. Right now, all the big coaster manufacturers are bringing laterals into their inversions. Intamin, Mach, Premier, they're all doing it. I think in the future, I'd like to see Vekoma just push it a little further, especially with moments like this, because this roll is good, absolutely a step up from some of their others, but I don't think it quite touches what some of the other manufacturers are bringing to the table. Continuing on though, you'll gradually rise up to the left-hand side and then twist to the right, now dropping into a double down, banking in opposite directions as you do so. This is a fun moment, reminds me of the inverse of what you might experience on Timber at Wallaby Roan Alps, or Bobcat at Great Escape. There you do a double up, banking in opposite directions, but here you're just doing it on the other side. And you absolutely experience some negatives here as you're dropping down. Again, just keeping all that speed and momentum up with you the whole time. Banking now to the right-hand side, dropping down a twisted hill. This one caught us off guard a bit. Definitely a surprise hill because of the way the track is angled. You can't see what's on the other side until you start dropping down. And then we got one final inversion, this one flipping you to the left, so it's going the opposite direction of all the other rolls, and that's what I like. It's like when those Intamin 10 inversion coasters just suddenly throw in one last roll in the other direction to keep you guessing. And this one has decent whip to it, probably the whippiest inversion on the ride. Again, a good step in the right direction. I would have liked to have seen a similar amount of whip, I think, on that downward roll. But overall, I would still say the standout moments here of Iron Rattler are, of course, the tilt section, that double inversion, and then still the downward roll. It's a very well-profiled ride in its elements. But having done now a lot of these Vekoma thrill coasters, it still inherently feels a little controlled because of how perfectly it's engineered. Like, Falcon's Flight, to me, feels more raw and unhinged. It has a bite to it, and I'm not just talking about how tall or fast it is. From my perspective, I think they're probably designing rides like this with comfort in mind and appealing to the broadest audience possible. The reality is, rides like Iron Rattler are people pleasers because it is intimidating, it is scary, but it is easy to ride and something that you will want to get back in line for. Iron Rattler is not too much. Those who've been following the channel for a while know that I've always said my favorite Vekoma thrill coaster is Let Coaster because it's too much. As an enthusiast, I love that it's just ridiculous with how many positives it throws at you. I don't think that would work on this ride. I think it would be too much, especially when you have Colossus and Falcon's Flight already in the same park. Iron Rattler fits very well in the scope of Six Flags Qiddiya City in that it looks different than every other ride, it feels different than every other ride, and even though maybe the forces are predictable at times, you hit the brake run with a smile on your face and you want to go again. That was 100% the case for me. Iron Rattler was one of my most ridden rides at Six Flags Qiddiya, probably only second to Falcon's Flight, and it was a heck of a lot easier to get on. This thing was a capacity monster. For us, never having more than a 5-minute wait. I actually saw a handful of guests who would look at it and just refuse to ride it, period, because it was just too intimidating, and I really wish that they had the opportunity to get on because I think just about anyone could enjoy this roller coaster. And any of those little nitpicks I brought up about the layout, in retrospect, aren't a big deal. I would still take this ride over any B&M dive coaster, because whereas those rides are seen as gimmicky coasters with a good drop but then not much else left afterwards, Iron Rattler is still a fulfilling ride experience with a better gimmick and a better layout that follows. And I think any park would be overjoyed to have a ride like this. So for Iron Rattler's final score, yeah, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I do think it is one of the best Vekoma coasters out there. It might not be my favorite. Again, I'm crazy. I like Let Coaster. And if you watch the vlog, you might have heard me say that I do actually prefer Siren's Curse over this, but not by much. The only reason I give that the slight edge is, one, I love the onboard audio, and two, I like that it has a bit more airtime, more of those low-to-the-ground moments. Iron Rattler is awesome, but it is more inversion focused. The inversions are still fun, but I'm an airtime guy. Siren's Curse goes upside down 2 times versus this 5. But hey, it's those differences in layouts that keeps them re-rideable and the type of attraction that you're going to want to get on multiple times. It's one of the reasons to seek out this park. Obviously, there's going to be people who would come here just for Falcon's Flight and that's it. But this is probably the second best ride here and is an excellent driving factor to check out Six Flags Qiddiya City. So let me know down in the comments below, if you've ridden Iron Rattler, what do you think of it? Did you agree with the points that I brought up? Do you think there's anything I missed? If you're new to the channel, please go check out the Coaster Reviews playlist for a full list of attractions all around the world in alphabetical order. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.